I am Ryan McVeigh, the Vice President of our ECM practice, which is where our portal team falls at Zia Consulting. And I'm going to spend a few minutes, as Emily said, talk a little bit about what those features are, and then Tim will do the deep dive into those. I'll share just a very brief Liferay update and a very brief who are Zia conversation before Tim dives into the meat and the good technical stuff here. All right, so right in. What are the 5 features that we love about Liferay? Obviously, we can read the slides here, right? They're open architecture, fast site creation, Liferay plugins, fast theme development, and responsive layout. If you're a Liferay person, you probably are familiar with some or all of these things, and Tim's going to spend some time talking with them or about them in detail and why we're fans. Quick Liferay update, and instead of doing the normal what is Liferay, what's the overview of the product conversation, which of course by now, if you're listening to us, you've heard before, we'll just share a couple of interesting things that may be new to you with regards to Liferay in the past several months. So most recently, they were named as a leader in Gartner's 2012 Magic Quadrant. So they're in the top right of that picture again. I would highly encourage you to go read the report and take a look at what Gartner has to say about Liferay. Certainly they're very proud of that accomplishment, and they should be as well earned. Liferay has launched a VMware Cloud Applications Marketplace. So that's an interesting thing where folks who are creating Liferay solutions can actually market those in the market. In this marketplace and launch them in the cloud. I think that's a really new and innovative thing that Liferay is bringing to the table. They have just recently enabled a sync mobile sharing application, both for Android and iOS devices. So that's an ability to synchronize files from your Liferay instance back to your mobile device and do some edits and so on back and forth between the two applications. They have just released the Liferay Faces component, as well as Liferay Developer Studio, which of course adds the visual workload component. Tim's going to spend some time talking about that, so I'll stop there. And again, there's a growing adoption of Liferay 6.1, right? 6.1 EE has been out for a short while now. It is the culmination of all of the great things that Liferay has been doing over their 11 years of developing their product. It's a complete lightweight web platform, of course, lots of new features, and again, you've probably heard these things before, but if you're not familiar with 6.1, I would encourage you to take a look and consider moving that direction as well. An important consideration about Liferay, and just to kind of cap off what we're talking about here, they run some real big business, as you can see by the list of their customers here. This is not just internal or external, right? This is actual live running websites for some well-known brands, and I would bet you probably have heard of all of the ones on the list here, or almost all of them in any case. So, they're clearly have well earned that position in the Magic Quadrant list, and have had a lot of well-deserved success. Last thing to say here about Liferay, and one of the things that we really love about them is their flexible integration platform, right? That not only is the user interface flexible, but the integration components and capabilities are flexible as well. It is a core to why we're using Liferay in our business, why we are recommending it as a great solution for our customers, and obviously therefore a reason why we're pretty excited about its capabilities. A little bit quickly about who we are at Zia. We're focused on what we are calling the content connectivity, and clearly there is a large component of that is focused on delivery of that, management of that content, and Portal Solutions play an integral role in making that successful. Of course, you'll see if you look at our website a little bit more about content management as well. We're definitely a key component of our business, so we've got some enterprise content management abilities here at Zia, and some other focuses. But the key here with portals is this conversation around integration. Obviously, there's a big mobile component there as well in delivery of portal-based applications to mobile devices. And then you can't have a conversation, it seems like these days, and not talk about the cloud. So we'll say that we are also offering a managed cloud service, which is a great way to combine these various technologies and run them in a hosted environment. and get some help from our team to keep you running on a day-to-day basis. From a focus perspective, we're certainly focused on the major industry verticals and technology solutions, again, that are going to best suit your business, obviously, for your organization. The Liferay solutions that we're providing we'll typically begin with some form of an assessment or a discovery. Let's do a little bit of learning about what it is you're trying to do and build up a plan together. Work with you perhaps on a pilot or proof of concept, and then all the way through, of course, implementation, which brings in back to this integration services component, right? That's the big part of Liferay. And so with that, I'll just stop here and say thank you for listening, and that's the end of my introduction, and we'll hand it over to Tim.
Give me a second to get my notes up. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the top 5 things we love about Liferay. As Ryan mentioned, it's open architecture, fast site creation, Liferay plugins, fast theme development, and responsive layout. When Phil and Ryan asked me to give this talk, I wanted to present on the 42 things that I love most about Liferay, but that would have taken a while. So we're just going to stick with these 5. So open architecture, what does that mean? That means that you can use basically any Java application server, any database that's JDBC compliant. So you can leverage your existing investment in your application servers and databases that are already within your enterprise. If you have the flexibility to use any application server, we generally recommend Tomcat because that's the most widely used by the Liferay community, and it has the most bundles that are available for download of that. It's also tends to be the most robust one. You can also use any Java web framework. Here are some of the ones that we've used. The Liferay MVC was built by Liferay from the ground up, so it is built to work with portlets specifically. Spring Portlet MVC was created by the Spring community. It's an extension of the Spring MVC framework, which has been around for a while and is quite popular. We use the Spring Portlet MVC for a lot of our custom portlet development because it works well and it has some features that the Liferay MVC does not. If you look at the Liferay standard plugins that come with Liferay, a lot of those are built with struts, so that's a handy web framework to know. It's fairly easy to learn in my experience, so it's not a big deal if you don't know it. JSF and GWT are 2 other common platforms, or rather web frameworks that people are using these days. The minor drawback to these is that they are not specifically designed to work with portlets, the portlet lifecycle. Okay. So one really cool thing about Liferay is that you have access to the Enterprise Edition source code, so you can see exactly what's going on under the hood. This is really helpful if you're trying to figure out what is actually happening, or if you run into a problem. On one of my projects, we had a problem where things were not working as documented. We debugged it. We found the lines in the source code where there was a problem. We provided the lines to Liferay in our trouble ticket, and that enabled them to very quickly give us a hotfix, so we could patch our environment and keep on running. If you contrast that with a closed source model, where you can't look at the source, all you can do is report the problem to the vendor, it could take quite a while for them to find and fix the bug, and especially if your environment has lots of customization. And so it might take them quite a while to provide you a fix, leaving you dead in the water for a while. Actually, I'm going to go back to this slide for 1 second. So open architecture as a whole means that Liferay is extremely flexible, works great for many different reasons. It works well as a social platform if you want to have a wiki and blogs and message boards and so on for your community. It also works quite well as an integration platform because any Java Web Framework is going to work with the portal. So you can put in all the common web frameworks, all the integration frameworks. On my current project, we integrated with an ERP system, a CRM system, an ESB layer, and multiple web services. And that's not always so easy with other portals. Okay, so one thing that's really great about Liferay, and that coming from a background doing Java web application development that I really appreciate, is that it's extremely quick to add web pages, and you don't need much technical knowledge to do it. So this can help enable the content creators in your organization to get pages up and running. So the basic steps are add a page, choose a layout, add some content to that page, and then set the page permissions. So I'm going to do a quick demo of that. Okay. So here I've got a basic Liferay install that I'm working on. I'm signed in as the admin. So I'm going to go ahead and add a page. It's called FAQ page. Okay. I'm going to go to that page. It's blank right now. The default page layout in Liferay is a 2-column layout, as you can see here. I just want 1 column. I want to have all the real estate available. Okay. And then we need some content for the web page. So I'm going to go into the control panel. In web content, I'm going to add a new piece of web content. Call it FAQ. And for right now, I'm just going to put in question and answer prompts. Let's go ahead and save that and actually publish it. Okay. So if we go back to the portal, I'm on my FAQ page. So let's add the web content display portlet. This is an extremely useful portlet that you're going to use a lot of places in your website, in your portal. So once you've added it to a page, you just need to configure it and specify what you want it to display. So here's the piece of FAQ content that I just created. I'm going to select that, save. So here I've got the content that I entered. It's pretty minimal. So we can modify that, and we can put in our first question. So how long does it take to add a web page to a portal, to a web app? About 2 minutes if you're using Liferay. It takes much longer for a traditional web app, especially with the next step, which I'm going to show you. So let's publish that content. So right now this page is available to everyone, but what if you want your FAQ to only be visible to a select community? We can set permissions for the page. Here's the FAQ page that I added. Select the page, choose permissions. By default, all pages are viewable by everyone. So we're going to remove that, and we're just going to make this page visible by authenticated users. Okay. Go back to Liferay. Okay, so I'm logged in right now as an admin, and I can see the page. I can even refresh, and I can still see the page. If I sign out, though, you'll notice that the FAQ is no longer available. Sign back in, and I can see it. One other really cool feature about Liferay, it comes with navigation widgets. So you notice that I didn't specifically add the FAQ to my navigation item here. It just automatically happens. but you also have the ability to prevent that. So, for instance, if I go back to managing the page, if I specify it as hidden, what that really means is don't show it in the navigation, but allow people to still navigate to it. So now it's immediately gone from the navigation. So I'm going to undo that and add it back in. Okay. Sorry, back here. Okay. Another thing to notice that by default, the web pages have friendly URLs. It's very easy to customize this to do whatever you want, either within Liferay or if you want to have Apache web server and do some URL rewriting on top of Liferay, you can do that also. So very quickly, we created a page here with some content. So you can imagine that when you're starting a project, and you're trying to figure out how you're going to use the portal, it could be very quick to mock up an entire site just using static content and pages and the web content display portlet so that you can very quickly show something to the stakeholders on your project and help them figure out the best way for the enterprise to use Liferay. Okay, I'm going to switch back to my slides. Okay, so I showed you the 4 items I mentioned there. So the Liferay CMS, the content management system, is extremely powerful. It has 3 basic types of data that it stores. One is images, another is documents, and the third is web content, which we just went over. But sometimes you want your content to include images. And frequently you're going to have pages that have common elements. So a good example of this is an FAQ page where you're going to have lots of questions and answers. Or if you have a page containing the info on the management team. You might have a picture of each person, their title, and then a quick biography. So that's a perfect example of when a complex bit of web content is going to be useful. Like I mentioned, the image gallery is for storing images. The images are organized in a folder structure just like they would be on your computer. The web content can be very simple snippets of content like the question and answer I created, or they can be organized using structures and then displayed using templates. And one more thing I'll show is the sitemap tool in Liferay, which is extremely useful. So going back here to a portlet, or rather a portal that we're working on right now, I'm logged in as an admin. If I go to the control panel and look in web content, you'll notice that there are, beyond the pieces of web content, there are some other tabs up here. There's structures. So what I was just describing is defined by the image title description structure, and this is to a data struct if you're a programmer. What this means is we're creating a piece of web content that contains an image, it has a title, and it has a description. So you can enter pieces of that content as long as they have those 3 things. And along with a structure, you need a template that specifies how you're going to display this information. So for instance, we can have what we call a 2-column left picture, which is basically like the slide I was showing you, where you have an image on the left, and the code for that looks like this. We're using good HTML practices. We're separating our style, which can be in here, or it could be part of a theme, or it could be defined for a page. We're separating our style from the information. So we're basically saying we're going to have a div that contains an image, and then a div that contains the description and the title. So as an example of that, let's go back here. So if you look at the Contact Us page, here we've got the image on the left, which is coming out of the image library, and then the title and description on the right that are coming from the web content system. And Liferay does this for you. This is very easy to get up and running. I showed you a demo where I had a very simple FAQ, but when you've got lots of questions and answers, it's much easier if you're using a structure to enter them and a template to display them. So here our template just said put each question and answer one on top of another. And as you add new questions and answers, you don't have to worry about how they're going to display. They're just going to keep getting added to this page. I also mentioned the sitemap tool. So you can see here on the left, as you add pages to Liferay, it builds out a sitemap for you, which is extremely useful. If you're building your own Java web application from scratch, or any web application from scratch, it can be difficult to remember all the pages, the hierarchy of which pages have subpages, which pages are visible to everyone, which pages are in the navigation, whether a page requires authentication. And the sitemap tool is a very convenient way to find that information. Okay. All right, so back to the slides. So Liferay comes with a bunch of standard plugins. This is another really useful feature of Liferay, so that you don't have to spend time reinventing the wheel. The common functionality that you're going to need is most likely already part of the product, or can be added without much effort. So I showed you the web content display portlet. It's probably the most widely used portlet on most Liferay portals. I'm going to show you the sign-in portlet in a bit, which is more than just creating accounts and allowing login. It also handles the forgot password feature, which users inevitably forget their password. I mentioned social media features such as wiki, message board, blog, chat. And then web proxy is another extremely useful plugin. Most enterprises have websites that, legacy websites that they need to continue to take advantage of, but maybe they don't want to do a lot of maintenance on them anymore. The web proxy portlet makes it easy to surface, to give visibility to other web applications within your enterprise through the portal. So it's all managed in the same way. So I'll give you a quick demo of some of these. So I go back here. So I'm going to go back to the welcome page. Adding a portlet, as you saw before with the web content display, it's extremely quick and easy. If I want to add my wiki portlet, bam, it's on the page. I can also move it around on the page. If you recall, Liferay comes standard with a 2-column layout, split 30 and 70%. So that's what this page is using here. And you can just drag and drop the portlets where you want them. You can also specify some parameters on the portlet itself to specify if you have a page with multiple portlets, how they should appear on the page. So let's say your company buys a small up-and-coming e-commerce site, and you need to, where did I put that? Let's find it. Yep. So let's say your company buys a small up-and-coming e-commerce site, and you want to expose that e-commerce site through your portal. It's as simple as doing this. Okay, so there you go. So there's our legacy web app. It's hideous. We wouldn't want to maintain this, but we can expose it through our portal here. I'm actually a huge fan of Amazon, so Amazon lawyers, don't sue me, please. Okay, so back to, and you can also style this and control how much real estate it takes on the page and customize it in lots of ways. Okay, so that was the web proxy portlet. One more thing, there are some gotchas with the web proxy portlet. Some websites, Amazon is actually one, will not let you proxy their site once authentication is required. So what that means to you is you have to have control over the source. You may need to modify the web application in order for it to be able to be viewed in the portal. If the existing web application has restrictions like that it prevents the use of proxies, you have to remove that. Most web applications do not have restrictions like that, so you're going to be fine. Okay, so we looked at a list of Liferay plugins. These are all modifiable. There are several ways to do this. One option is you can just use configuration to change the behavior of portlets. So for example, if we go back to our control panel and we go down to server integration and click the CAPTCHA tab, changing the registration process to use CAPTCHA is as simple as clicking the box and then entering your CAPTCHA public and private key. So in 5 minutes, you can be using reCAPTCHA. Writing the code to do this takes much, much longer. Oh, actually, I need to undo that change. Okay, good. Yeah, and it didn't hit save, so it's not saved. Okay, so that's a very quick example of how you can use configuration to control the behavior of plugins very quickly. There's also the Portal ext properties. There are lots and lots of properties that are overridable by using that file. Okay, so but what if configuration changes alone are not enough to get you the level of customization you're looking for? Liferay has a mechanism known as a hook, which allows you to override basically everything within one of their standard plugins, standard portlets. You can change JSPs, you can change struct classes, you can change the CSS, you can customize the pages, for example, changing the page flow, and you can also change the behavior. Zia has done extensive customization of Liferay portlets using hooks. A great example of this is the sign-in portlet. Virtually every enterprise wants to customize the login and account creation process, kind of make it their own, put in their own look and feel, and have different pages. So we've done that for our clients. At the user interface level, you can change the page flow, look and feel. You can have the company-specific terms and conditions document that a user agrees to. And as I showed, you can also configure to use reCAPTCHA instead of the built-in Liferay CAPTCHA. On the back end, it's very easy to use the hook to integrate with whatever you need to integrate with. So in our case, ERP system, this could be any kind of web service integration. You can integrate with LDAP for authentication. Basically, the sky's the limit. Anything you can accomplish with Java code, you can integrate into your hook. So I'll give you a quick demo showing you what we've done with the sign-in portlet. So I'm going to go ahead and log out as an admin. Okay. My sign-in portlet got pushed all the way to the bottom of the page. So this is the basic sign-in portlet functionality and look and feel here. You can either log in or you can create an account. One really nice feature is that you can use OpenID. So if you don't want to force a user to create a username and password, you can just take advantage of one of their existing credentials that already uses OpenID. Sometimes users are disinclined to create a username and password for a site. It's just one more hurdle, and if you can allow them to just skip that step, they might be more likely to use your site. So if I want to create a site here, create an account. Here's the standard CAPTCHA verification that comes with Liferay. Okay. So you notice that the default behavior of the sign-in portlet is that it shows you your password here, and then it also emails your password to you. Some companies don't like to display the password on the screen. They just want it emailed to you. When you log in, the next page is typically a terms and conditions. So to make our lawyers happy, we're going to read every single word on this page. Actually, Phil's telling me don't read every single word on the page. Okay. Next page is security question and answer, so that when the user forgets their password, which they will, they can recover it themselves without troubling you. Okay. So now you notice I'm signed in with the account I just created. So that was the registration flow for the standard Liferay sign-in portlet. So let's take a look. Let's contrast that with what we've done for our client. So you'll notice that the look and feel is different. We've styled the buttons and the fields. We've added a 4-step banner at the top here to let the user know where they are in the process. You'll notice the reCAPTCHA that I talked about instead of the kind of lame default CAPTCHA. Okay. So now we're on step 2 of the process. You'll notice that this does not display the password on the page. Rather, the password is emailed to me. So I'm going to go to my email, grab that out, type that in here. Okay. Here's another long terms and conditions. We're going to say, yep, I agree. And then I'm going to be forced to enter a new password here. This is another difference. This is a configuration item. It's just, I think it's a simple checkbox or a simple property you put into your properties file that says, yes, force the user to set a new password when they create an account. Actually, it is in Control Panel. So I'm going to create a new account, or new password, I mean. Okay. Security question and answer again. You'll notice we've also added text in here. This is coming from, actually, everything on here is coming from the web content system, so that if someone in the company decides that needs to change, it's not as complicated as finding the JSP source file and changing it there, or finding a resource bundle and changing it there. It's as simple as log into the portal as someone who has authority to change web content and make the change and publish it, and it's up and running. Okay, and then you're automatically signed in. we've also configured the landing page for authenticated users instead of it just being the home page. So that's a quick demo of the level of customization that you can do to the sign-in portlet. It's pretty extensive and doesn't take that much time once you know what you're doing. Okay, so how do you make a portal look the way that your company wants it to look? Most of the styling is done with a theme in Liferay. This is common to a lot of different portal tools. I think Liferay's is easier than most. You know, the out-of-the-box feel for Liferay is okay. It might be fine for a strictly internal portal, but if it's going to be for public use or for a large number of users, you're probably going to want to customize it. So you can customize the look and feel, and the basic technologies involved are velocity, HTML, CSS, and images. So to recap real quickly, here's the basic. This is the default theme, the classic theme that comes with Liferay. And here is the theme that we did for one of our clients. The theme basically controls, at least for this website, the theme basically controls the header, the top part of the page here, and the footer, the bottom part of the page. The stuff in the middle is generally content that is coming from a portlet, whether that's a web content display portlet or a custom portlet or another standard Liferay portlet. One interesting thing that we did is we have the client requested that the left-hand navigation for some of the pages. So this is handled through the theme using velocity conditional logic to control the left nav bar here. You can see that I'm on the My Account page and my account is highlighted. If I go to the My Products page, my products is then highlighted. Okay. So the last thing I want to talk about is responsive layout. It's one of the major trends that's happening in the web world. You know, a few years ago, everybody was all about Ajax. The next major trend that is happening now is making a website that works well for any web-enabled device. Most websites are designed for desktop computers, period. That's it. And they may or may not work okay on other devices. If you look at the adoption rates of tablets, such as the iPad, they're growing extremely quickly. And in the next couple of years, a majority of home users, residential users, are going to be connecting to the internet using a tablet rather than a desktop computer, at least part of the time. So designing your site for tablets or for phones just makes sense. It means that the site is going to be relevant for much longer, so it decreases the total cost over the length of the project. Means that you won't have to be rebuilding your portal in 2 years. And the way that Liferay does this is it uses CSS media queries and JavaScript to basically detect the screen width of a given device, whether that's a phone, a tablet, or a computer. What you have to do is you have to specify how the CSS should render the portal page for each of those display sizes. So the best example of the responsive layout is actually the Liferay.com site itself. So you notice this is meant for desktop width. As I resize this page, it changes for tablet width, and then eventually for phone width. And Most of the information is still here. A good best practice, or rather a best practice, is to have all the content on your phone that you would see on the regular page, but just decrease the size of things. So you'll notice that some of the huge images have been greatly decreased in size or possibly gone, but all the menu items are here. All the content is here. So I encourage you to try this at home with your tablets and phones. Go to the Liferay.com site and see just how well it's implemented, and realize that with Liferay, it's as simple as specifying the CSS for your pages for each of the devices that you want to support. It breaks devices down into 4 different size categories, and so you just need to provide CSS for those 4 categories, and you're off and running. Okay, so like I said, there are lots of things I love about Liferay, and I wanted to talk about a lot more. We basically narrowed it down to 5, but here's a couple more I'm sneaking in. Version 6.1 has a lot of really nice features. One that we are extremely looking forward to using is the out-of-the-box support for previewing PDF and Word documents. In older versions of Liferay, if you have a Word document, such as your terms and conditions that comes from your legal group, and you want to display that in your portal, you have to convert that Word doc to HTML, and then you have to style it appropriately for your portal. That can consume a lot of time, and you run the risk of running into bugs with browser-specific versions. For example, for one client, we converted the terms and conditions into HTML and found out that it does not render correctly on IE in one particular case because there's a bug that's been in IE for about 2 years that they just won't fix that has to deal with unordered lists. So once we go to 6.1, that whole headache is eliminated. You can just have your Word doc or your PDF displayed on the page. Zia has a major alfresco practice, and Liferay has integration with alfresco. So this is an area that where we can provide a lot of benefit to our clients. So that's the end of my presentation.
Great, thanks, Tim. Appreciate that. Shout out to Peyton Manning. At this point, we'll open it up for questions. So please feel free to type them into the chat function on your GoToWebinar dashboard. We've also been joined by Phil Robinson, who's the Senior Vice President of Business Development here at Zia. We do have a question for him. Phil, can you talk a little bit more about Zia Managed Cloud and managed offerings in the marketplace?
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks again to everybody for attending the webinar and sticking around. It looks like everybody to a person stayed through the whole presentation. So definitely thanks to Tim for putting this together, and hopefully that was some useful information. So yeah, the Zia Managed Cloud, Ryan didn't have a lot of time to get into it because we wanted to give Tim plenty of time to present, but really the concept here is a little different from what's out there today. So in my background, I've done a lot of work with the cloud providers, and again, right, this could be Amazon, it could be Rackspace/OpenStack, right? So hosting/cloud providers. And obviously now you're starting to see more and more of these cloud template providers, right, and cloud marketplaces. And I know Liferay's done some work with Bitnami. The concept here is a little different. What we've heard from people is it's great that those are out there, and absolutely they're growing massively. But what we're really looking for is someone to help us with our application, right? So this goes back to sort of the old days of managed application services, application support and maintenance. And so that's really the concept behind the Zia Managed Cloud, is that it's actually somewhat infrastructure agnostic. We don't really care where you want it put. What we're going to do is help you really manage it, right? So that's get it set up, get it installed, get it configured, get it customized, do the integration work that you need done, and really manage that for you. And again, that has come on the back of multiple requests we've got from people saying, look, again, we really need you to manage this application for us.
Great, thanks. Ryan had also mentioned Zia's focus in specific vertical areas. So can you talk a bit more about that and where you see activity with the Liferay portal?
Yeah. So again, we had a quick slide that Ryan just ran through, and so happy to expand on that a little bit more. So yeah, at Zia, I think like many companies, right? We've seen and done work across a wide variety of horizontal areas, right? So we do a lot of work with Liferay. We do a lot of work with Alfresco. We do a lot of work with ESB technologies like MuleSoft. But the reality is people are looking to solve business problems, right? They're looking for business value out of using the content. And so, more and more we're targeting, really specific use cases and vertical solutions. So, at Zia, financial services is a big practice for us. Public sector is a big practice for us. Education, technology and telco, construction, oil and gas, they're all big areas for us. Specifically to Liferay, where we've really seen a lot of use in our area, and I know Liferay is used very broadly, but certainly again within the sort of technology and telco space. That's obviously the big project that Tim was referencing with some of these demonstrations. Definitely public sector, so number of state and local governments using Liferay. So those are two really big areas. But again, I mean, it certainly wouldn't limit it to that, and we definitely do see sort of broad-based portal and web publishing use cases.
Great. Another question here, and this might require a more in-depth offline conversation, but does Zia undertake small projects or only large ones?
Yeah, so maybe I'll start that, and it looks like there's a second part, such as the registration process you demoed, and what's that cost. And I think, so thanks for the question, and probably we'll take some of that offline with you. But the answer is, in effect, every project we do starts as a small project, right? So, we typically will start with an assessment with you. Now that may be part of sort of a larger agreement, right? But it always does start small. Not sure about the specific registration process, Tim, if that's something that is sort of carve-outable or not. And again, maybe we could take this offline unless you want to add any comments to that.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So
okay.
It all depends on how extensive the customizations are that you want done to the registration process. For example, you can literally just use CSS to style what Liferay provides out of the box. If you want to change the page flow around, maybe add in some custom steps, maybe there's additional demographic data that you want to capture somewhere in the registration process. It really just depends, like with any web application, what you want to do. And so Phil mentioned starting off the project with an assessment phase, and that helps us understand the client's needs, figure out what you really want, and help you work within your budget to achieve what you're looking for.